Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day today. So we're going to be testing out a concealer today. So this is the Milk Makeup Future Fluid All Over Cream Concealer. This is a multi-use medium to full coverage concealer that covers, sculpts, and hydrates. It's lightweight, crease proof, and it has a natural finish. So I have under eye lines and wrinkles, and I have some darkness and some puffiness. So we're going to test this concealer out over all of those things. And if you guys have similar under eye concerns as me, I'll give you guys my first impression, and then of course we're going to be doing a wear test, and then at the end of the video I will let y'all know if y'all should check this out for yourselves. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so my foundation is on and it's blended around the under eye area, so I only have my skincare on the immediate under eye. So for those of you who are new here, I do usually put on a color corrector underneath my under eye concealer, but I don't do that when I'm testing a concealer for the first time, because a color corrector can kind of like alter the coverage of your concealer. So I want to test the concealer out on its own without any assistance from any other type of product. So I just have my skincare on the under eye for right now. So let me show you guys what the applicator looks like. So this is the little applicator, and that's how much stuff comes out on the applicator. So we're going to do one eye at a time so we can see like a before and after, and I'm just going to start off with what comes out on the applicator. So I like to apply my under eye concealer like right here, and because I have those lines and wrinkles on my immediate under eye area, I try my best to avoid them. So I'm going to let this sit for about a minute, and then I'll come back and blend it out. Okay, it's basically been a minute, so I like to let the concealer sit just so that it can kind of thicken up a little bit and then give me a little bit more coverage. So I'm going to be blending out with the Rare Beauty concealer brush, and I like to just pat over my concealer to blend it out as much as I can that way. I forgot to tell you guys what shade I'm using. This is the shade 19NC, and let me just give you guys a quick hand swatch too, just so that you can see it a little bit better. So that's the shade 19NC. Alright, so let's go back to blending this out, and I'm just patting over. I'm trying to keep it concentrated on the inner part of my under eye area, and I am dragging it up on the side of my nose just a little bit because of those marks that I have from my glasses. So my first impression as I'm blending it out, it seems to be blending out okay, and I think the coverage level looks okay too. Now it claims to be a medium to full coverage. Now me personally, I feel like a concealer should just be nothing less than full coverage, but medium to full is good for some people because some people just don't need as much coverage as others on their under eye. For me, I like nothing less than full coverage. So far I do feel like it's giving me medium coverage. I'm not all that crazy about the shade of it, but I knew that when I bought it. And I often go through that with complexion products. Like quite often I just can't find a good shade. So I do feel like it's coming off just like a little ashy because of the undertone, but it doesn't look like horrible. So that's what one layer looks like, and I do feel like it's giving me medium coverage. So it definitely covered up some of the darkness because it definitely looks not quite as harsh, I'll say, over here, as opposed to this under eye with no concealer. So I think we're doing okay so far. I think it's performing the way that I would expect it to based on the claims of the concealer. So before I go on to the other eye though, I'm going to put another layer over here so that we can see like a completed look, so we can do like a before and after. So again, I'm just going to pick up what comes out on the applicator, and I'm just going to go right over that with one more layer. To me, when it blends out, it looks like a different shade. Like I feel like right now it looks like an okay shade for me, but when I go to blend it out, it comes off a little bit ashy. But so I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll let this sit for like a minute or so, and then I'll come back and blend it out. Okay, so let's blend out this second layer. So again, I'm just kind of patting over it, and this does take a little bit to like blend out this way, but I just think that this helps like keep the coverage concentrated in certain areas. So that's why I like to blend it out like this. So once I have the concealer nice and blended, like in the inner part of the under eye, then I'll take what's left on the brush and I'll drag it like down and out a little bit. So I'll usually do like the other eye first and then come back to finish blending it out, just so that I'm not picking up eyeshadow. But I'm doing it like this today just so that we can see like a completed before and after. I already feel like this isn't a concealer that I would pick up over some of my staple concealers. So my favorite concealer is the Anastasia Beverly Hills one. This is the one that I use like 100% of the time. So I also like the Estee Lauder Double Wear Radiant Concealer, the Rose Ink Concealer, and the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. So I already feel like this Milk Makeup one is not one that I would pick up over these 4 concealers. It's not like horrible. It's blending out okay, but it's just not giving me the level of coverage that I like for my under eye. But it looks nice and smooth. Like I don't see like any creasing or anything like that. I just feel like so far the coverage level is just not the best. But also keep in mind it's a medium to full coverage concealer. So if you don't have as much darkness as I do, then this might be, the coverage level might be okay for you. And then like I said, I'm not crazy about the shade either, but I try to not really concentrate on that because I know that some of you will get a really good shade match, but in terms of the coverage, it's just not giving me like as much coverage as I would like. So I'm gonna quickly put some concealer on the other eye, and then I will show you guys how I'm gonna go back and set the concealer in place. So I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm just picking up the amount that comes off on the applicator. I'll let it sit for about a minute and then come back and blend it out. Okay, so before I go over this side with another layer of concealer, I just want to show you guys the difference between 1 layer versus 2 layers, because I do feel like it looks like I have a little bit more coverage over here, more product over here, but to me it's just still not built up to like a full medium coverage. So I just wanted y'all to be able to see the difference between the 2 sides. So let me go over here with 1 more layer. And again, I'm going to let this sit for a little bit before I blend it out. And then just like I did over here, I'm going to drag this down a little bit and out. Okay, so I want to show y'all one more thing before I set it. So I just put another layer of concealer on this eye, and then over here it's been sitting for a minute. So keep in mind that I haven't set the under eye yet, but I do want y'all to be able to see like how it kind of sets down on its own. I don't think it looks the prettiest. It doesn't look horrible, but it definitely looks better when it's freshly applied. And I guess you could argue that all concealers do that, but to me, as it's setting over here, it's just starting to look a little bit drier on this side. But for the sake of the wear test, I'm not going to put on another layer. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm just going to pat over this one more time so that I can go right in and set it with my powder. So today I'm going to be using my Loreal True Match Powder. This one is in the shade C5. So I usually set my under eye with my Kosas Cloud Set Powder. Today I'm going to use this L'Oreal powder because it has a little bit more of like a pinkish tone to it, and I feel like I need something that's running a little cooler just to kind of offset the shade of the concealer on my eye, because this one is a neutral cool shade, and I do feel like it's pulling neutral, even like borderline like yellow on my under eyes, and I have a cool undertone, so that's why I'm wearing this powder for today. So I'm just picking up a little bit on my brush, and I'm just going to set just the immediate under eye area. So even though I did drag the concealer down and out, I will set this part of my face with my other powder when I go back and set my foundation. Okay, so let me know if y'all think that makes a difference. I feel like that powder brought just like a little bit of life back to my under eye, because like I said, the shade is not the best for me. But let me just put a little bit on this eye as well. Yeah, I definitely feel like the concealer is looking better over here. So I would say with this concealer, you definitely have to kind of set it like right away. but I feel like you do have to do that with every concealer before it starts to crease. This is not creasing over here though. It just looks drier than over here because I let it sit for longer. Okay, so let me also put some of this concealer in the center of my face, on my chin and my forehead, just to balance everything out. And I guess since we're focusing on the under eye area, maybe I could have gone in with my regular concealer for these parts of the face, but I just wanted to use this just to kind of, you know, further test it out. Okay, so this is what the concealer looks like all blended out in the center of my face, and I definitely am liking this under eye better. To me, it just looks cleaner. It looks a bit more hydrated, and just overall, I think this one looks better. So I'm going to finish up the rest of my makeup off camera. I'll show y'all what that looks like, and then we will start our wear test. Okay, first impression on this Milk Makeup Concealer. I'm not crazy about it, and unless something drastically changes during the day, I don't think I'm going to even bother doing like a full 8-hour wear test on this. I do want to wear it for a few hours just to see, you know, if anything happens. But even on this eye, which I thought looked better when I initially applied the concealer and when we set it with the powder, I feel like on this eye, it's starting to do the same thing over here that it's doing over here. It's like the concealer is just not aging all that well on my under eye area. Like, I feel like my under eyes just don't look as good as they did maybe like 10 minutes ago. So I don't think the under eye looks like horrible, but I've definitely had like some other concealers that have looked better on me. Now, I have to keep reminding y'all that the shade is not the best, because sometimes when the shade is off, that kind of like just automatically makes it look not as good as other products that have a better shade match. But I'm trying to look beyond the shade, and I'm looking at how the foundation or the concealer is actually wearing on my skin, and I just feel like it's like slightly aging my under eye area. It's just looking a little bit drier as time goes on. This is supposed to be a hydrating concealer. It doesn't feel drying, but it just doesn't look hydrating, if that makes sense. Like, to me, my under eyes, they're just looking drier than they did when I initially blended the concealer out. So I hope all of that made sense. But first impression wise, I'm not crazy about it, but like I said, I will wear this for a few hours, and then I'll give y'all like my final thoughts later on. Okay, so it is a little after 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'll probably wear this for maybe like 5 hours or so, and then I'll come back and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, I'm back. It's a little after 6:30 in the evening, so we almost made it to an 8-hour wear test. So this is what the under eyes are looking like, and unfortunately, I think that they look even worse than they did at the start of the wear test. So I would say my final thoughts are basically the same thing that I said in my first impression. I just don't like this concealer. I just think that it makes my under eyes look dry and just a little like aged. Like, it just doesn't look good to me. Like, I can see like noticeable cracks in the concealer on this under eye. Not so much this one. I have to go back and look at the video, because now I'm trying to remember which under eye did I say looked better at the start of the wear test, because I thought it was this one, but now this one looks worse than this one. Like, this one I can see like noticeable cracks in the concealer. So unfortunately, I would not recommend this concealer. Now, quite often when I don't have a good outcome with a product that I am reviewing, I'll usually tell y'all like, you know, this is my experience with it, but try it for yourself. But this is one that I would say just don't try this. Like, again, it's the way that it worked on me, but I just did not like this concealer today, so unfortunately I would not recommend it. So I hope that y'all found this video helpful. If you did, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel before you head out, and I will see y'all back here for my next one. Until then, take care. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.